Should be coming on. Here we come. It's Tony Datino, ready to do my live with Tony on Friday afternoon. I've got a Zoom session scheduled for later, and I didn't want to push this off until the evening because then things get crazy, and sometimes I don't get to do them then, and I shove it off till the next day. So I decided, let me get this done at 3 o'clock. We'll have videos on it, and we'll take it from there. But I wanted to grab this. This just drives me crazy. I'm going to try to be calm and not totally frustrated. But here's something I'm reading last night out of the Duke Medicine Health newsletter. This is Duke University. I mean, a fairly respected university, coming up in their February 2021 edition of their health news and the perspectives on medical headlines. And they pull in here, I'm reading this last night, and I just want to bang my head against the wall. It talks about word list, right? And giving people words to remember, and how that was used in a study, if I read this well, that by Northwestern University, another prominent university. So Northwestern University is doing this study with a group of people, a study of 991 middle-aged and U.S. Older adults who participated in this study over a period of years. So this is not a short thing. This was from 1995 all the way to 2014. So this was not insignificant. And they hit two things. One, which we've talked about before, and I'm going to talk about in my next broadcast, the importance of a positive mood and how it impacts your COVID vaccines and things, and which I've talked about before, but I want to elaborate on more in terms of positive synergy. But this one went from the importance of social connection and positive interactions in your mental outlook to evaluate memory. So here we go again, and I just wonder where these scientists are, if they've ever looked at a YouTube or video of the USA Memory Championship mental athletes. And there's been plenty of them around. If any of them have been doing research on memory and working with any group of people, if they've ever gone back and looked at, gee, what are some of these men and women doing that are doing these YouTubes, or the USA Memory Championship has YouTube websites. What are they doing that are allowing them to take a list of 200 words in 15 minutes and remember well over 100 of them? Because here's the study now. Here we go. We're back to memory evaluation. We're back to memory evaluations of cognitive function here. To evaluate the memory of these groups now. This is 1995, 2014, Northwestern University, published in Duke's Medicine newsletter. In order to evaluate their memory, they were read a list of 15 unrelated words. Sounds like what we do in our words to remember portion of our memory competition. And they were given a 1 second pause between each word. So, for example, chair, curtain, flower, grass, milk. So now you've got some words, okay? Chair, curtain, flower, grass, milk. Now you have to remember those. So you're going to get 15. You get 90 seconds after the 15 words are listed. And after those 90 seconds, you can recall what they call immediate recall. You have to recall those words in any order and see how many you are able to recall. Then, 15 minutes later, they want to test what they're now defining in this study as delayed recall. And they examined the association between a positive impact, meaning positive thinking, and you're more optimistic and positive, and memory decline, accounting for age. And their analysis showed that memory declined with age. However, individuals with higher levels of positive effect had a less steep memory decline over the course of the 10 years of this study. And I say, here we go again. They did a study giving a random group of almost 1,000 people the opportunity to remember a list of words. And I questioned, did they train these people on how to link to the loci Roman room method of retaining and coding? Does anybody stop to think its memory is a verb? There are actions we can take to improve our memory? Or do we just take 1,000 people off the street and say, hey, we're going to put you into a study, and we're going to then defer that, hey, those folks that couldn't remember the 15 words and delay over 15 minutes, and when we give you this random selection of unrelated words, with no training on how you might store and code those, and now we're going to make reports, we're going to do evaluative studies, and I'm a little disappointed. It gets published in the Duke newsletter. Maybe Northwestern wanted to publish it, but you know what? Duke picks it up and they put it into their mind and memory section of their medicine health news. And I say, here we are again. So I'm talking with someone, talking to a nurse about this MOCA and BIMS test that they give to seniors in doctors' offices to assess their cognitive impairment. And the nurse was right with me. She said, Mr. Datino, I totally agree with what you're saying. We have medical professionals diagnosing patients with impairment. And when I've looked at the tests that they give to patients from doctors' offices all over, there are times I flunk these tests. And I'm not cognitively impaired. I know what I'm doing. I'm clearly focused. I take care of people all the time. I understand how to do vitals, understand how to take care of their medical conditions. And I totally think of myself as fully competent. And yet when I take some of these tests, I question, is this what we're using to evaluate? And she said, I've watched somebody come in and work with your family member. And I've watched them ask her these questions, and there are times that she doesn't answer them accurately, and she gets an X on those questions. And that's how they're evaluating her cognitive function. Now, I evaluate her cognitive function by a visit we had, and whether or not she's in context of the questions that I ask her. She's always been able to answer my questions in the context of whatever the question has been. So I asked her, for example, what was the last time you took your medication? Do you have your wraps on for your lymphedema? Did you know that we were coming to visit with you today? Is there some reason why you didn't want to get out of bed knowing that we were going to visit? And that was the winner, because she says, nobody told me. Well, nobody told you that we were coming to visit and therefore you needed to be out of bed and sitting in a chair? And so now it's, oh, well, she's got cognitive, and she doesn't remember. Whoa, wait a minute. So we checked in with the nurse, who says, nobody told us that you were coming to visit with her. So as a result, she didn't want to get out of bed, and I left her there. But I only found out when you got here. Now, what's my message? Not the end of the world. But what is? They're diagnosing someone as being cognitively unfit with a bunch of garbage. And I'm delighted, I'm thrilled, beyond ecstatic about a National Science Foundation grant that Michael Datino will be working on, using his Maximum Memory online course, Maximum Memory Mastery. Just remember M3, Maximum Memory Mastery. M3 course for groups of high school students, college students. I'm teaching them some fundamentals, and I can tell you, if Northwestern would have given us an hour as a first pass at these 1,000 people in their study, I guarantee you their outcomes of their analysis would have been dramatically different. And how many hundreds of people would you like me to march in front of you to prove it? And the fact that Duke picks it up I'm not sure who edits and includes this in their magazine. I've loved this magazine. I think the Duke Health News Mag, it's one of my favorites. I look forward to it every month that it comes. Disappointed, though, that they're telling me they're no longer going to be publishing it. They refer me to some of these other mags. So I'm disappointed. But they hit on some good things here about memories and a positive outlook, and a well-written piece by one of their psychiatrists. But they missed the boat on this word list of giving people 15 unrelated words and expecting them to remember them presently, 15 minutes later, and make that a judgment for a memory decline. I'm not going to scream anymore. I'm no longer banging my head against the wall. I continue to be on a mission. We are continuing to climb a mountain. We have the goods. We have what we know works. We've got more and more testimonials in a sense of results and studies and people that have proven to the contrary of what this may be suggesting. And we're going to stay on that mission. And later I have a Zoom call to address our next USA Memory Competition, which we're hoping to do in the virtual world because of COVID, somewhere in the May-June time period of 2021. And we're going to keep this battle going. We are onto something. I think it's huge. I think the brain health series that Michael Dattino is putting together is just going to be tremendous. I think his super learning course that he's putting together is going to knock people's socks off. And when you package the three into our Brain Power series, starting with the Maximum Memory Mastery as its foundation, as the baseline of moving people off of their position, and I mean moving them from where they may be today into some new position of thinking and some new position of skill, I think we're going to get a mass of people recognizing that there is so much more we can do with our own intelligence, with our own brains, than we ever thought possible. And so the fan club will grow. People will learn when they go at some point in their life to take one of these doctor tests that are done for cognitive fitness. They'll learn how to blow these tests right out of the water until the medical world figures out, geez, maybe these are just not the right kinds of tests we should be given. So with that, have a good weekend. I'm back on Monday evening, and look forward to seeing you then. And my weekend reading sometimes gets me into trouble because I read so much on weekends and then get myself all wound up, but then I build a pile up for my broadcast, and I want to get as much of the key information out to as broad an audience as possible. So I appreciate all of those that stay with me in my Live with Tony segments. I really appreciate the feedback I get, and it keeps me engaged in doing these broadcasts. So with that, have a good evening, and we'll see you on Monday.